Good afternoon, class.
Hi, Miss Merritt.
Today we are learning about irrigation systems. Irrigation, by definition, is the supply of water to land or crops to help growth. A cool fact, or a fun one, is that did you know that about 39% of all fresh water goes to irrigating crops? It's pretty cool, huh? There are two main irrigation categories: traditional irrigation and modern irrigation. So these are the traditional irrigation methods we will be going over today. We have the flooding method, the ring basin method, and the furrow method. The flooding method. This irrigation method consists of using a canal, ditch, or pipe to allow water to freely enter a level field. The water will spread over the entire field until there is standing water covering the field. Flooding irrigation is done in cycles. Therefore, a fair amount of time will pass before it is needed again. Flooding is suitable for high-density crops, such as peas, small grains, and alfalfa. It's also suitable for areas with low erosion, soils that are permeable, areas that have an affordable water source, and areas where excess water is available. The advantages of flooding. It's relatively cheap setup and operation costs when compared to other methods. The disadvantages of flooding. Only about 20 to 25% of water is used by the plants. The rest of the water is lost to runoff, seepage, and evaporation. This also encourages weed growth, and it must be used on level land or it will cause excess soil erosion. And with soil erosion goes the loss of fertilizer and nutrients. Yes, ma'am?
So, this method isn't really efficient, is it?
Not very efficient. Good question. So the ring basin method. This irrigation method is used mostly for trees and bushes. A raised platform is shaped around the trees or bushes with water channeled around the base of the mound. You can see that right here. The land must be level, so many agriculturists divide the land into smaller, flat sections.
Can you go over that one more time?
Yes. So the irrigation is mostly used for trees and bushes. And a raised platform is shaped around the trees / bushes with water channeled around the base of the mound.
I see.
Yes. Any other questions? Good question. The ring basin method is suitable for most soil textures, high-value crops, and plants that require a lot of water. The advantages of the ring basin method. It calls for varying supply of water depending on efficiency. So that means that if water is in excess around where you live, then you can use a lot of it or as needed. If you're in a drought, then you can use it more sparsely and more smartly. There's also no water loss by runoff, no loss of fertilizer. Rapid irrigation is possible, and it's great for citrus. Love me a good orange. The disadvantages of the ring basin method is that it's not suitable for all crops. This method may encourage the spread of disease, and it requires land to be level. The furrow method. Crops are developed into rows on a sloped field. Furrows are the channels that run parallel to the crops and alternate. Although furrow spacing depends on the type of crop it is, furrow spacing typically ranges from 0.75 to 2 meters in length. Water is applied to the top end of each furrow and flows down to the length of the furrow by the influence of gravity. Row crops such as cotton, sugarcane, and potatoes use the furrow method. The furrow method is suitable for farmers with a small amount of equipment, as well as medium and fine textured soils. Advantages of the furrow method. It can be used for any row crop. It's not very expensive install. It's relatively easy install, and there's a high water efficiency. Disadvantages of the furrow method. Drainage must be provided, and there's uneven infiltration. That means that at the top where the water is let in, where there'll be most infiltration by the water to the soil, but at the bottom, where the gravity takes it, there won't be as much. Modern irrigation. These are the modern irrigation methods that we will be going over today. Drip or trickle method, center pivot method, and lateral move method. Are you guys ready to move on? The drip or trickle method. Water is applied directly at the root zone via emitters, perforated pipe, and other things about method. They operate under low pressures with the applicator placed either below or on the surface of the soil. But because we've already gone over this in our greenhouse unit, we're not going to cover it again today, but I do want to make sure that you understand the advantages of the drip method. So can one of you please tell me an advantage? Jordan.
Decreased chance of diseases spreading.
Very nice. There is a decreased chance of diseases spreading. Anybody else? Shelby.
There is little to no water loss.
Very correct. Because water is deposited right at the source, right at the root system, there's not much loss. There's no runoff, no anything of that sort. So very nice, both of you. The center pivot method. Water is distributed by a system of sprinklers on a boom that move on wheel towers in circular rotations. Water is delivered to the center pivot, then moves to the boom, which applies water to the crops at a uniform rate. This results in a circle of irrigated crops. Center pivot method is suitable for flat terrain and all regions, but especially helpful in arid ones. The advantages of the center pivot method. Center pivot can be used to apply types of fertilizer and pesticides. The amount of water applied can be adjusted by changing the speed of the system. Labor and maintenance is low, and there's a uniform application of the water. Disadvantages of center pivot method. Water is distributed in a circle, so there is a loss of surface area. There's a high initial cost. It requires an energy source, and water may need to be filtered before use to prevent blockage by sediment. Lateral move method. The lateral move method is similar to the center pivot method in the fact that both use sprinklers in a series of pipes. However, this method does not have a center pivot, but it gets water from various water outlets in the field. The sprinklers move a certain distance down the field, but will need the water hose hooked up to another station for the next distance. The lateral move method is suitable for flat terrain in all regions, but is especially helpful in arid areas, just like the center pivot. The advantages of the lateral move method is that it can be used to apply types of fertilizers and pesticides. The amount of water applied can be adjusted by changing the speed of the system, and its uniform application. The disadvantages of lateral move method. There's a high initial cost. It requires an energy source. And water, once again, may need to be filtered before used to prevent blockage by sediment. So as you can see, it's very similar to the center pivot, but slightly different. And for today's activity, I'm really excited about it. Today we will replicate these irrigation methods with our own model. Shelby, I put this cat in here for you because I know you love cats. Activity. Each group will be assigned their own irrigation method to create. We will use soil, toy crops, and water. Group 1, which is you three, will be modeling the ring basin method. So for that, I have the water, the soil, and the plants. Thank you, ma'am. So if I could please have you put the soil in there. Thank you, Jordan.
How much soil?
Let's do a fine layer and we'll see how much after that. I hope you don't mind getting your hands dirty. It's gonna happen. Would you like to add some, Shelby?
Do you want more?
Yes, please.
How much?
Go to the top of this room.
Right here? Top of what?
This room.
So a lot. Oh, right here. Like all the soil. Maybe not all. Most of it. Quite a bit.
Alright, that's good. So I'll place this, I tried to close it over here. putting this model on the board, okay? So if you could please set the trees at opposite ends of the blocks.
I'm gonna make a little well.
Yes, that works.
Right, and then just stick him in there.
So you push the dirt underneath it so it's a firm base. And so now just like on here, we're gonna make a mound. So if you could push your fingers together and make a mound at the base of the tree.
Okay, I see.
Very, very nice. So now what we're gonna do is make the little canal right here and make the canal around the tree base. So by that you can just push it down and make it flat. You can just put it to the side. Just keep on pushing down like that. You're getting very into it, I appreciate
I'm
that.
very into this.
And so you're gonna make a little canal right here from each tree. Very, very nice. Make sure we see the definition right there. Very nice. Very nice. Alright, very nice. And we also need to make it around the trees.
Circle. Okay, around the tree. Oh, give me a pencil. Sorry.
I'll let you do this.
Good innovation, I like that. It's okay, I have a broom. Very nice.
Sounds like you're hitting the bottom.
She's doing a really good job.
I'm doing a great job.
Shall we jump to the other one?
She got it. She got it.
She'll eat it.
I know.
It should eat over here too. Very, very nice. And because the soil is very dry, I can't promise that the water is going to become standing, but I at very least want you to show where the water would be at. So I have a water bottle here, and if you will take turns distributing the water where it should go.
I'll go first.
And we can use the whole water bottle. We have excess water.
Do I need to start in the middle or can I start by
Start
the
where
tree?
you feel it needs to start.
I feel like he needs some. Okay.
Good job. It would go in a circle around the tree. Very nice.
We'll disperse.
Yeah, you have to go in the middle.
I thought I was gonna
Almost
splash
got
out
it
there.
there.
No. And then all this, right?
And then
Yes,
we've
ma'am.
got a leather tree.
Very, very nice. I like her.
Yeah, it's soaking in.
We still have a lot of water.
But if we add enough, it'll flow.
Alright, you and add
We've
some more.
only
shall
used
we?
like this much water.
She's going for it.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's totally fine. We have enough water. Do I like to add some more?
I can't open it. Okay.
Did we open it?
Oh, we're getting there.
Oh.
There goes to the bottom.
You just thought.
I got this.
You're doing a great job. All right, here we go.
It smells like wet dirt.
I wonder why.
This might surprise you.
I know, I wonder why.
Okay.
It's a little forceful around the trees. How about we just stick to the middle? So you can't see so much water standing, but there's enough to be able to decipher it. So you can see that all right here is where the water is, circling the tree in a circular manner in a ring.
Would it erode as much, or is it just because ours was like small?
There would be some erosion, but not as much with like the flooding method.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that you are able to see from this visual.
And our
And I
trees wouldn't
think-
fall over.
The trees won't fall over, yes ma'am.
My tree is standing.
And I feel as if that's pretty similar for the materials that we had.
In a box.
So y'all did very well. Very good job. And that concludes our lesson for today. I hope you have a wonderful day, you guys. Class dismissed.
Bye, Miss Barrett.
Bye, Miss Barrett.